I'm here on the job site with Dale, who's a framing contractor.
Hey, good morning.
Dale traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for all his business vehicles. We're here where he needs us most.
Yep, they sure are.
We make it easy for him to save on all his insurance needs, all in one place, with coverage that fits his business and bottom line. Oh, I shouldn't have looked down.
It's all right.
We're so far up here.
Look at me. Take a deep breath.
Oh, I'm good. So good.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. Get more with Geico.
Welcome back to Used to Sew, a podcast about sewing machines, sewing history, and sewing culture in the past and present. I am your producer and co-host, Aradia, daughter of your main host, T.R. Kelly, who is still not here to talk to you about anything. We are still on our two-part filler episode meant to fill in for a now-resolved family emergency that ended just fine. To remind you, last week and this week is a podcast cross-post from one of my other projects called Hot Nuance Book Club that I made with two other Wheel of Time fans about non-Wheel of Time books that influenced us as young people. Between our first and second seasons, we got to talk with author Kate Elliott about her experiences writing in the sci-fi fantasy genre since the 80s for over 2 hours, which I have broken into two parts for your listening pleasure. Part 2 includes a lot more of Allie and I contributing to the conversation and getting fired up about the topic and running off on our own tangents. And Bree also contributes more of her direct experiences being a romance author in particular. And of course, the author and the title recommendations just keep on coming. If you want a full accounting of all the materials mentioned, check out the show notes on our episode page linked in the show notes. As with last week, I am going to try to create a connection between this conversation and the usual topics of the podcast. In Used to Sew, we focus a lot on the loss of skills and quality over time. But in this Hot Nuance episode, we are talking about the giants whose shoulders we can build on, really reaching into our past for inspiration on how to affect the future. Writing and sewing are extremely different skills, obviously. And they produce very different intellectual and material results. But they aren't entirely dissimilar. Culture is passed down through both. Values, methods, and information can all be encoded in both. You can reinvent both on your own with basic materials, but it goes much faster with a mentor. Both can be a vehicle for personal artistic expression. How can we connect the intergenerational process of imagination and creation in writing to sewing? How did two women born in the U.S. in the mid-century experience their place in that great chain of lore? I'll leave you to contemplate that for the second half of our interview, and we'll catch up on the other side. Cue the unfamiliar transition music.
Yeah, I was thinking about the romantasy thing, and I think that part of the problem is romance is always sold more than sci-fi. It's just they got to ignore it until it was in a category with them. And now they're like, what the fuck? And I'm like, sorry, y'all. We've always sold circles around you for the most part. I mean, Nora Roberts is potentially one of the best-selling fantasy and sci-fi authors of all times. And, like, people don't know that. Like, both under her name and under J.D. Robb. Like, every time I point out that J.D. Robb is a futuristic sci-fi writer and it's also Nora Roberts, my Twitter would just, like, collapse for days.
And she has whole, like, fantasy series, trilogies.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because she's a machine, for one thing. But, of course, she's not sold into the SF. I mean, that's part of the problem. Right? Is that this part of the problem with the core SF&F community, what I would call the fandom community, and I don't say this about individuals at all, because they're fantastic readers. And of course, all of my readers are the very best readers who ever existed in the universe.
Of course.
But among some elements of it, there's this sense that what we read is right. And this gets back to this hierarchy thing. Our science fiction, our genre is the right genre. But if someone writes it outside of our field, it isn't really. So what Nora writes can't really be fantasy or science fiction. it's got to be something else, right? And that something else is always that little sneer, that little condescension.
Yeah. Oh, honestly, having Tor drop our 3 romance books, watching people's brains sort of start to smoke, really, really, really kind of fun. I mean, not when they text like they would, at me, since when does Tor publish porn? Like, And I was like, y'all better not read our other books because those were tame. Those had some of our readers.
Well, now they have that whole line.
Yeah.
Now they have a whole line.
And it's not just sci-fi romance. Bramble publishes like all romance. It's not just like sci-fi and fantasy. So, and Monique Patterson is over there and she knows what like romance can do. So, I mean, I think I think it's super interesting and it makes sense for them. They've had a horror line for a long time. And I really am interested actually in how people are going to respond to Bramble. I mean, I think that the fandom collectively, not the wonderful individuals, are probably just gonna like write that off. My experience wasn't great having a romance published from Tor, just from the fandom. The outside people still treated me fine because, romance, people are gonna romance. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it was, there were points where I was like, yeah, you really don't understand. Everyone's like, I wish these books would stop talking about people liking each other. And I'm like, well, they're not going to. I'm sorry.
I have to say, so the Spirit Walker series, which starts with Cold Magic, has a very strong love story that spans the entire trilogy. So it's a fantasy. It's, my pitch for it. Hold on. Let me collect this. Afro-Celtic, post-Roman, ice punk, Regency fantasy adventure with revolutionary women, well-dressed men, and lawyer dinosaurs.
Nice.
That's my pitch. Anyway,
everybody,
right now,
go buy it.
Yeah. So Cold Magic is the first one, but when Cold Magic came out, and if I must say so myself, it's a really fantastic alternate Earth history with a huge fantasy element that can't be ignored. So it's not true alternate history because that wouldn't have that element. It wouldn't have the magic in it. But it's a really interesting alternate history. And I was really excited when it came out, but the science fiction fantasy community kind of ignored it. But it got discovered by the romance readers who, first of all, read way more. They read more widely, more diversely across a wider range. They're more ecumenical readers, I guess, is how I would say it. Whereas the SF&F readers, not all of them, but a certain number of them was like, well, I'm not going to try that. Or, well, this had a romance in it. And it wasn't even an explicit. There wasn't even any porn in it. Right?
Well, in that case, I'm out. No.
But yeah, but it had that. It was like the girl cooties, as people use. Yeah. So it was kind of like, well, okay, this was interesting, but there's always that but there. So the fact that in any way in which that trilogy did decently is because it crossed over to the romance readers. So they are to me the reason that got any traction. And I will always be thankful for that.
And that's one of the things I think people forget, because like you said, romance readers read outside the genre. People never think their audience, like non-romance people, they think they can talk shit about romance because they never think their audience includes romance readers. But everybody's audience includes romance readers because they, and so we're always everywhere. And that's why like romance has this reputation for popping off and like coming at you if you talk shit, because none of us like to just be like hanging out, enjoying one of our favorite hobbies and suddenly have someone say, yeah, dumb romance housewives. Which is...
Oh, that's a whole thing in itself.
Oh, mommy porn. That was the 50 Shades of Grey. 50 Shades of Grey, they called it mommy porn. And let me tell you, I do not miss the 2010s.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't read. I read like the opening of Twilight, and it wasn't for me. But you can see a book and say, this isn't for me. And also, I saw people who never read fantasy. Adults who never read fantasy and probably didn't read that many books every year read Twilight. It made a huge impact you know.
And some of them went and bought more books.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of people discovered their love of reading with Twilight.
And they're reading romantasy now, right?
Yeah, it's happening right now with Fourth Wing. Fourth Wing is bringing people into fantasy because Fourth Wing is accessible, I think.
Fourth Wing.
It's like,
Akatar.
It's accessible to people. It's, it's a great starter thing because it's fun and they're like quick pace. Like Fourth Wing is very quick pace and it's, you could just, the first page tells you everything you need to know about the story. And so, it's that's well written, that's well designed. And so whether or not you like it, and like I've seen so many criticisms of the writing, and I'm sort of like, guys, the writing is fine. The writing is fine. It's not unique. If you've read widely in sci-fi and fantasy, yeah, you've seen these tropes before. And you've seen them done lots of different ways. But if you haven't, it's revelatory. Because this is the first time you're experiencing this. And, even worst case scenario, if you think Fourth Wing is terrible, shut up. Tell them, oh, wow, did you love that? Here's my favorite fantasy. You should try that next.
Let people like things 2024. That's my...
And invite them in. Don't punch them in the face and say, well, if you like that, you're not a real sci-fi fantasy writer, so we don't want you.
And don't offer them a book that is impossible to get into unless you've been reading SF&F for, 10 years. Offer them something that, like this, is like the next step of accessibility.
Yeah.
Stop recommending Brandon Sanderson the Literary Everybody 2024 Challenge.
Well, he's actually pretty accessible.
Yeah.
He is, but
in a different way.
If somebody's asking for romance, do not give them Brandon Sanderson.
No. He's not the one. He's not the one.
It's a meme.
If they're looking for romance, not George Martin either.
No.
Right?
Oh my God, no.
And stop recommending Jacqueline Carey without content notes, guys. Okay, I love her. Those books are I did a panel with her, talk about doing a panel with someone intimidating.
I've never met her.
During the 2020, the Zoom release era, we did an event with her and we had this great conversation about writing a character who was a magical masochist and the ethics of that and what it means to have a character who, when men hurt her, that's her superpower. She could turn it against them and make it into a weapon. But that's a really intense book to just tell someone who said, I saw someone the other day who was like, I really liked Akatar. Can you recommend me some more book with some hot sex? And everyone was like, you have to read Jacqueline Carey. It's the only quality one. And I was like, you guys, you're just sending her in here to read this wildly intense, extreme kink content with no warnings. Stop doing that, people.
Also, to say it's the only one of quality, I'm like, let's stop, please, stating opinions as facts. Let's stop. Again, can we please stop? I just never, to the same extent, see people criticizing the quality of male writing like I do. Whenever there's a popular female book, it's always, let's tear down the writing as soon as possible. I'm like, I feel like I count to 100 and it's already done. There's already somebody going, oh, the quality of the writing. I'm like, sometimes things are fun.
Right?
Sometimes things are fun. And crafting a really good story is just as difficult as writing beautiful prose. And just there's allowed to be different kinds of focuses in people's writing. Sometimes it's stories, sometimes it's prose, and oftentimes it's both. But I don't know. It's just one of my pet peeves.
And it's forgetting that Jacqueline Carey got a lot of criticism for being too porny.
Yep.
Right? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this explicit sex in your book? You're supposed to be writing serious fantasy. She got a lot of criticism when that first book came out, when Kushiel's Dark came out. But it was doing something really different. And it really different. Good for her.
And that is actually why we signed with Tor, because her editor is the one who we were going to be working with. And I was like, okay, at least I'm not going to freak you out because you have edited Jacqueline Carey. So I'm going to be okay with you. And she to her credit, no matter what people think, she'd never asked us to tone down sex or do anything or be, it was fine. And I, really enjoyed working with her. So though I am going to come back and say, Brandon Sanderson apparently recently said that Melanie Ron was one of his big influences.
Oh, Really?
Yeah, somebody told me that because of the podcast, and I was like, yeah, that does not surprise me at all.
That does make sense.
No, it doesn't surprise me at all. No, she was I think people were reading her that wouldn't admit they were reading her also.
Yeah.
But she was huge in the 90s. And anyway, I'm still mad.
I
She
know.
just gets dropped out of the historical, because that's that thing, right? If you get dropped out of the historical conversation,
Right,
then it's like
right.
you didn't exist. Within 2 generations, it's like you vanished. Even though I bet those I assume they're still in print. I assume they're still in print, and I assume they're probably still selling decently. Maybe not as well, but
Yeah, I think so. They're also like in ebook, and they recently they've recently produced the audio, like in the last 10 years. The first 3 have like horrifying covers, but the second trilogy, Dragon Trilogy, has like great covers, and
in the audio version?
I actually tried to get one of the audio. Sinead had a Scottish accent, and I immediately stopped it, and I was like, what's going on? I can't listen to this. I've had this in my head for like 30 years. Like, I can't listen.
That's hard.
So
That's hard.
Yeah, but I love that we got to start this podcast, and some of the people out there actually, and they are fans of yours as well, from her original bulletin board, found the podcast. And so I have gotten to like find all these like old Melanie Ron fans who were in the 90s. Yeah. I lurked on the bulletin boards, but I was scared to talk to people because I'm a shy little introvert. Until Twitter came around. For some reason, Twitter was my place.
I'm the same. Twitter, like on a bulletin board, it was much harder for me to think about posting. But on Twitter, it's like it was so ephemeral. And the character limit was so short that you couldn't be. Is this pithy enough? Doesn't matter. I only have 140 or 280 characters, right? So you could just throw away stuff and you didn't care. And that's what I loved about it. It was less intimidating.
Yeah.
A moment of silence for Twitter. Passing of Twitter.
I really do miss it, and I am sad. And Elon Musk killed it for all of us. And, boo hiss to that. I guess join Blue Sky, guys.
Here's my thing about Blue Sky.
Yeah, I'm on Blue Sky. It's just a different vibe.
It's such a different vibe. Yeah, I feel like I'm shouting into a void right now, but I'm hoping that the void will start shouting back at me.
Yeah, it's...
Oh. I should. If you, what? Do we have wait, where's
well, are we going to share each other's Blue Skies? I'm freaking out.
Yes.
Yes. Put it in the chat and I will follow you.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I woke up this morning with a text from Donna like, Kate just solved my writing problem on Blue Sky. And I was like, well, good. I'm going to talk to her later. But she's already like, yeah, what you posted this morning about like enjoying the journey like really hit us because we had a rough go with this last book, just health stuff. And, sometimes when you're crushing a deadline and everything's going wrong and everybody's sick, you cannot enjoy. I mean, this is a job at the end of the day, even if it's a creative one. And sometimes you forget to like have fun writing or you can't have fun writing.
And if we're not having fun writing, then why are we doing it? I mean, for money, because I don't have any other skills at this point, and I don't have any other skills I can monetize, but yeah.
That's so real.
Because it's not the publishing part.
Yeah, it's not the publishing part that we're enjoying.
Yeah, the writing has to be fun to make up for the publishing part, or you just can't survive because the publishing part is a lot. And I'm glad to hear that it is less of a lot now, or at least a different type of a lot, because, I can imagine actually, I'm not even sure I can. I've heard tales even from just like the late 90s and early 2000s of like women attending these conferences, so early 90s, late 80s scares the crap out of me.
It was bad. It was like in the air and the water. The toxin, I mean, it's still there, but the toxin was in the air and the water it was more parts per million. And so the thing is that in a situation like that, you learn early on how to cope with it and then you just swim. So you do things that I wouldn't do now, but I don't look at what I did then and say, oh, how terrible, you weren't pure and didn't, object, because I don't think that option was really viable. the whole, you should have done this or you should have done that. Well, I don't know. Easy to say because you're not there, right? So you learn to cope. When you're in a traumatic or abusive situation that you can't get out of, and these isms are, societally, we're kind of often in different degrees, right? You just learn to cope if you want to be in that space, because that's really the only way you can. And some people can't do it, which is one of the reasons it's so bad, because it forces people out through no fault of their own.
Right.
But for the others of us who could find ways with our pit bull ways, you just learn it. And then later you look back and you go, what the hell? Right?
Yeah. I think about, and Neil deGrasse Tyson has his own problematic issues. But once I saw an interview with him where they were asking about basically trying to use his presence as proof that there wasn't racism.
Oh, I know this quote. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And he said, I think I made it through, but I think about the blood on the tracks.
Yeah, the blood on the tracks.
The people who got hit by the train.
Yes.
And, that is what I think about a lot. The people who didn't make it through, or the people who, like Melanie, sort of got erased. It's why I wanted to start this podcast, but it's also why, every time, as much as I love this Wheel of Time show, every time I see Rosamund Pike saying that Robert Jordan was doing something that nobody else was doing at the time, I'm imagining all of you out there having to read these interview quotes over and over and over as if you literally didn't exist. And it makes me so mad. And so, that's one of, I think that it radicalized me. I want to just run around screaming, no, there were women writing fantasy in the 90s. There were lots of them.
And then I was like, will you hold still long enough to be in front of a microphone? Because we can make this go.
Yeah. And in the 80s and in the 70s.
Yes.
A little bit in the 60s, although that's when it was just started to cross over.
Yeah. I remember, what was her first? I think The Ship Who Sang, Anne McCaffrey. That was one of the earliest ones. And that...
Yeah, that was the late 60s.
That one stuck with me for a long time. And it's just, it's so infuriating. And so many people had to put up with so much bullshit. And even today, they're still trying to hit us with sticks, get back in the box, We need the Barbie gif, Jezebel, get in the box.
Yeah,
Jezebel,
exactly.
get in the box.
Yeah.
Get in the box, you Jezebel.
Didn't the Oscars just come out, and Gerwig didn't even get a Best Director nod?
They snubbed her and they snubbed Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
I just want to shout out to poor fucking Ryan Gosling, who was just trying to get through this award season as they throw awards at him, and he's dodging them and blocking.
Yeah, the fact that I'm Just Ken won Best Song at the People's Choice Awards over What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish. That was...
And they said he was going to accept the award, and he refused to get up and do it. He was just making faces in the audience.
He was just he was shocked. And then he got nominated for Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, and then Margot Robbie didn't. America Ferrera did get nominated, which is good.
Good,
but
thank God.
It was still a little so Ken got nominated and not Barbie.
I'm thinking too, I'm outside of the world of publishing and writing and all these things, but I was raised by very aggressively feminist parents who were you will read girl books, you will read things by women, you will listen to music by women. That was very much, and I'm a millennial, so that's the 90s and the 2000s is really when my parents had full control over what was being aggressively thrown at me. And it's so few. Despite their efforts, despite their desires, it's Tamora Pierce and Anne McCaffrey and Alanis Morissette, and nothing else is sticking out to me. Everything else that I can remember is and then I shifted to male media for whatever reason, male created media. And it's just and my parents were trying. And I mean, I read the entire young adult section of my local library, the entire section. So, I mean, I read a lot of women authors by virtue of that, because statistics. But it just frustrates me how much you were fighting on your side and then my parents were fighting on their side. And there's so little in the middle. And I don't know if any of you guys have read Lessons in Chemistry, but that's
I book clubbed through it with my grandma. And that was a theme I kept seeing, was like, it takes so few people to gum everything up for everybody else. It takes so few people to just pinch this little thing. And then on either end of that interaction, there's these masses of people trying to connect, trying to make cool things happen. And this one small-minded, hierarchical little man is just in the way. And it's just, we all get robbed, you know?
Yeah.
But if I may, as a message of hope moment, I mean, I think that we forget too that as like individuals, people who are listening to this, right, we have a lot of power. I mean, that's the like one nice thing about capitalism is that it will bow to the pressures of the public at like points where it's profitable. So you have an ability and a power to seek out Melanie Ron, right? Not let Melanie Ron be forgotten. Mention Melanie Ron or start podcasts about Melanie Ron, right? I mean, it's easier than ever to grassroots something that needs to be seen. I mean, the most recent kind of famous example that I could think of is like Pixar's Elemental was kind of touted as almost like a Element version of Zootopia and was failing in the box office, was not doing well. And then everyone who saw it was like, no, this is actually a really important allegory for immigration and what it's like to be raised by immigrant parents. You need to go see it. And literally just the amount of people just talking about it, continuing to boost Elemental and make sure that Elemental was not being overlooked, made it so that it became a box office success. So there is a lot of power in people coming together and going, the way this was marketed was not our personal favorite. And this is actually something important and that needs to be seen. And I made Gus watch it with me recently, and both of us were weeping uncontrollably. So this is my grassroots effort to make sure that everyone sees Elemental.
I had only vaguely, I mean, the name is like vaguely familiar, and now I'm going to watch it because my mom's an immigrant.
Please. And this is the thing too. Yeah. So keep talking about the people and the things that matter to you, because actually, like, the more that we do this and the more that we have these conversations, the more a Melanie Ron TV show could very well happen.
Well, and see, here's one of my other things is like, why do people put so much energy into hating on stuff? There are only so many hours in the day. Don't you want to spend all of that on putting oxygen on things you want to see? Like the amount of water people throw on fires when you could be blowing on the fire that you actually want to see go, and just let the best bonfire burn, or whatever, however this metaphor plays out. Like, just why can't more people create podcasts about things they love? You know?
Why do people get so much interaction from anger and the hating
and
on
mockery.
Things. Yeah. And mockery.
I do not, like, when someone tells me they heard about me on a podcast, I'm like, I'm not going near it until you tell me if they're making fun of the sex scenes, because that is how a lot of people read our books, to like make fun of them, you know, make fun of sexy stuff. So I just wanted to say, like, to all of this, like, how easy it is now, because I'm like a little bit older than you guys. And so I was doing a lot of my trying to find books before there was an internet, like that, practically speaking. I mean, in the GeoCities era of internet, I could not go to a website and find all of the fantasy written by women. Right. So do you know what I would have to do? I would have to go to used bookstores and, problematic lady, find Marion Zimmer Bradley's Sword and Sorceress anthologies. And I would hunt them down because I could never get them new because they were like there and then they were gone off the bookshelves. And I would hunt them down, and that is where I found female authors. And like, that is what I had to do. That was the effort I had to go to find women to read in this time period. And so, yeah, it was so frustrating. And now it's so easy. So yeah, let's please give oxygen to the things you love. Like, as an author, I'm begging you, because that's word of mouth, man. That's what saves us sometimes.
Yeah, and it's so easy to do. It's easier than ever before. But I mean, like, even other famous examples, like It's a Wonderful Life was not a hit, and was actually investigated for being communist propaganda at the time that it came out. And now it's a beloved Christmas movie. So it's like, just because something does not get the oxygen initially, if you love it, then like, you are the marketing. Everyone's the marketing for what they want to see.
Be the bigolos dickolos you want to see in the world.
Be the marketing. Yes.
The bigolos dickolos, yes. Oh, God.
Exactly. The bigolos dickolos you want to see it.
I'm literally going to read that book with my grandma for our little 2-person book club because it's been on my TBR ever since that moment happened. And like, she was like, you have to pick the next book. I picked the last 4 books. You have to pick the next one. I'm like, viral moment. Join me in being part of the internet. So we're going to read that next.
Yeah, one of the things that social media and of course our current political climate too is very much the frustrated toddler hitting down the blocks that someone else has built. So don't be the destroying toddler, be the building toddler, you know?
Yeah. We're all still just toddling along, but at least we can be constructive.
Yeah, be the constructive toddler.
We can be building something.
Which I do want to just I'm going to put the disclaimer in here, even though I would think on our podcast it's not necessary. Y'all know. Well, we're not talking about don't say that something is racist or sexist or homophobic or transphobic.
Yes.
That is not what we're saying. Because, sometimes we have to say, whoa, you just wrote a wildly crazy racist book. Please don't do that. But if you just think that the writing in Fourth Wing is bad, and some people think that it's pro-military propaganda, some people don't like the disability rep, talk about that. But I know you love it, Allie, because it's your thing.
It's mine. It's my disability.
But some people don't like it, and I think there's value in talking about why. But don't just say, yes, well, she used the word stone twice on page 1, so it's trash. And I literally saw someone do that.
Oh, okay, my
they're
God.
Oh, echoes in this paragraph, and I'm like, oh my God.
Okay, so she's supposed to bust out a thesaurus and figure out a fancy word for stone every time she a new word for
we're gonna tank a book over echoes on page 1. Okay,
all right, relax. There's hundreds of pages. You try. I'm for those people. I'm always like, you fucking try it then. You try it. You put your work out there and say, judge me. It takes a lot of fucking bravery, especially as a woman in this. I have so many feelings, especially as a woman in this field, to put your work out there, especially in a niche genre, and be like, please judge me. Here's my child that I birthed into the world that I've spent freaking years of my life on. Please tell me how I used stone twice on 1 page. Fuck you. You write a book then and let people judge it and see what your Goodreads says.
You can nitpick anything if you want to.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, is conflating opinions with facts, right? Oh, you actually wrote a really interesting thing versus you wrote a thing that I have very strong emotions about. Right? It's just a matter of debating the content versus your feelings in terms of laying down objective truths.
Or people who begin a book thinking they have this expectation of what they want the book to be. And then it doesn't turn out to be that thing because the author had something else in mind. And then they're mad about that. And that means it's a bad book.
Right.
All it means is it's not a book for you. I actually do not finish probably a third of the novels I start.
Life's too short.
Maybe some years more. And it's not that they're bad. I mean, some of them I might think aren't very well written, but they aren't for me. A lot of them there's nothing about the book. It's just the book isn't for me. And that's okay. It doesn't need to be for me. And that other people, I'm not going to tell if I tried to read a book and I didn't care for it and I see someone talking about how much they loved it. I'm not going to jump in and tell them they're stupid because I've had that happen to me.
Yeah.
I've been condescended to for these reasons and I don't need to do that to someone else. I loved your rant about Fourth Wing.
Thank you.
I mean, that's how it is. The stuff I love, and the stuff other people love, they get to love. Again, with your caveat, Brie, about, there is stuff that is.
There's, legitimate criticism versus it just wasn't for me. And I go, there's such a difference between those two things that I'm just and the rant was less about Fourth Wing, like Fourth Wing or don't like Fourth Wing, whatever. It's no skin off my nose. I just get so mad as somebody who writes, right? And who knows how hard it is and who knows how many, notes you get and how hard it is to even just sit down and do the thing that you're supposed to do every day without, talking yourself out of it. I think it's so easy for people to judge when they've never tried to put themselves out there like that. You know what I mean? And it's so easy for someone to say something is bad or low effort when they've never made that kind of effort in the first place. And so that's what always drives me nuts is I'm like, you do it and see how hard it is. See how much goes into it. Just writing a story from beginning to end, let alone writing a good one, you know?
And then people who are cool, you get to be on the other side, like Kate was saying earlier, and be that welcoming person to be like, come into the circle. Like, it's okay. Like that's the other side of it is like, instead of tearing people down, you can be like, no, you try it. You're trying it. Good job. You're trying it. Come here. Sit with me. You're trying it. That's awesome. Like it doesn't hurt us to have more colleagues. It's not a bad thing.
Right. And sometimes it takes 5 books or more or never. And like, you know, it's such a worthwhile endeavor anyway. And yeah, why do we gatekeep success and why do we judge people who are successful? I don't know.
Because apparently success is pie and more for you means less for me.
Truly.
And and why do we make ourselves, why are there people who can only make themselves feel better by tearing down other people as opposed to making themselves feel better by embracing, right? And widening their circle of concern. I don't know.
Yeah, I've had much more success with widening my circle. I have friends now because I've been so open and excited about having the professional companionship. And I can't imagine going around like nitpicking other people until I have 3 people left in my circle. That sounds miserable.
Does sound miserable.
Yeah. I'm gonna quote another viral tweet here, which was basically, did you really hate that book or did you try to order a milkshake from Home Depot? Roughly.
Oh, yes. Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Perfect.
Yeah, you know, it's
perfect.
Sometimes if people try to read our books and they're like, they don't like romance or fantasy, I'm just like, you probably came to the wrong store. And it's okay for my books to not be your thing. But like, don't say that I wrote it wrong because I put too much romance and fantasy in it, you know? No, that was the point. I did what I planned and, you know. So yeah, it is. What a wild career we've chosen. Us 3 writers.
Why?
And Aradia getting
I'm in awe of all of you. I just want to produce podcasts.
I think about it all the time. Still a wild career to pick. I mean, truly, and I appreciate, Kate, you sharing that it was your 5th novel that got published, because I think a lot of people don't realize, too, that it usually isn't it's weird and you're kind of a freak if your first thing is the thing that gets published or gets produced or gets made. And to me, what's so impressive is not actually the person whose debut novel gets published. It's the person who does write the 5th novel that gets published or the 10th novel that gets published, because it's like, that is the career stamina that I think you need to be successful in this industry. You need to be constantly pushing yourself to get better and not worrying about that initial, you have to push through that initial, like, you're not going to be writing the things that you envision in your head. It's always so much better in your head. And then you put it on the paper and it's like your skill needs to evolve to the point where things get published. And maybe you are skilled right off the bat, right? I'm sure, Kate, you were skilled immediately, but
No, I wasn't. My early novels are not as good.
Yeah,
I got better.
Exactly.
Because
And
I
that's
kept
so
writing and kept
important.
working to improve it.
Yeah.
I mean, and my first novel didn't make a splash, barely got reviewed. And, you know, I haven't even reread it. It was supposed to start with a magical sex scene that I didn't have the courage to put in full. It's suggested. If you read it and you can figure it out. And I'm sorry about that now, but I also understand why I did it then. I just need that to be out there because I thought about it.
Well, I think you brought up another important point that always amazes me about people who do put romance in their books. We went on this rant about Saltburn the other day because my friend was talking about how she was at a party and everyone was being rude about it and she was the only one who liked it. And so I went on this rant about, because she said, oh, they were saying there was nothing interesting in it. And I said, the thing that was like so inspiring and amazing to me is that like it was a woman going, I don't care what my neighbors think. I don't care what, I'm not going to worry about like my parents picking this up and looking at it. I'm going to write like what I want to write and what I'm excited to write and what's my truth and how I see the world or just, write something that to me is like bold and risky and, you know, daring. And it's like, it's hard, I think, as women, because that can be something that we get pushback for. And so like, I've definitely also had things where I'm like, I want to write this, like, you know, kind of raunchy scene that I back out of because I'm like, well, what will my parents say or whatever, you know, or what are my neighbors?
Oh, you want the answer? My mother, I begged her not to read our Beyond series, which is the post-apocalyptic queer kinky army, like, orgies. Like, I begged her not to read it. And she read Beyond Shame. And she texted me, I read your book. And then she didn't text me again for 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, I told her this was going to happen.
Well, Beyond Shame is the one, is not the one to start with.
Yeah. That's
funny.
the you thought the Tor books were porn, please watch out book. But yeah, like, you know, it is, I'm going to tell you guys legitimately, writing sex and putting it out there in the world, one of the worst things about it is that people think you can't be sexually harassed anymore. Because if you are willing to talk about, if you're willing to write about sex, you should be forced to talk about sex with anyone who wants to do it at any time, in any manner they think is okay. And if you complain, they're going to be like, well, what about your book? You know, this is what you put out there. And it is really kind of fucked up. Like, people sexually harass romance authors in weird, creepy ways. So like, I don't blame people who flinch, because it does, once you do it, it is, I mean, everything from like fucking Stacey Abrams goes on the Colbert show and she begs him not to read one of her sex scenes, and he just keeps doing it over her begging him to stop. Because people love, I know, I never thought about them the same way, because I viscerally recognize that feeling of someone who wants to make fun of you, picking up one of your books and looking for a dirty scene to read it at you. It happens all the time, and it's
yeah.
It's so, and even if you're Stacey Abrams, you can't escape it.
Wow.
And you know what? I've got such thick skin at this point, you know, because I did write the really, really dirty books and I self-published them. Like, you cannot get more sneered at on the hierarchy of publishing than self-publishing erotic queer romance.
Yeah.
You're basically like, so like, yeah, I don't give a shit anymore. I hit my do not give a shit stage, like, you know, at 35 or something. And I'm glad I hit it, because now I'm just like, yeah, fuck off.
Well, that's what I love about talking to other women who write, is it's just like, like, you very early have to just be like, yep, I don't, especially ones who were writing in the 90s. You just had to be so tough. And I think it's incredible. That's why I just get so defensive of all women writers, because they're just like, the game is so different and the rules are so different and the things you have to think about are so different. And I don't know. I just think you all are amazing people. And I'm ranting now and rambling, but it's only because I'm like, I can't believe I'm allowed to talk to you. So that's all.
I love being a fly on the wall for this.
I still don't believe I get to talk to Kate all the time. Kate, you're awesome.
I'm just like fangirling. I fangirl talking to Brie all the time. I'm always like running to her going, Brie, I'm having a panic attack about X. And she goes, yeah, that'll never stop. So you just get used to that.
Yeah.
I'm never sure if that's helpful or not, but I'm like, yeah, you know, everybody I know who's like fucking winning New York Times notable things is also having a panic attack today. You know, it doesn't go away.
So when Brie was like, I'm bringing someone on who I'm fangirling over, I was like, you need to calm down, because I'm fangirling. You need to be strong for us, because I won't get through this otherwise.
This has been a lovely, lovely fangirl convention here.
Yes, and we have kept you for 2 hours, Kate, so we're going to
Oh
wrap
my
up.
God.
I would like you to...
I'm sorry.
Yes, you have been so generous.
You guys are so fun to talk to, though.
I know this has been the most fun, but I want you to tell us a little bit about like your most, since we've made you relive the past. Can you tell us like about your most recent release and like your next release?
Oh boy. Okay. I've written so many books over so long.
I know this is a torturous question for publishing.
Yeah. So much going on. So for people who haven't read me before, I recently published 2 novellas with Tor.com. One is called Servant Mage, and these are both standalone novellas. It's a fantasy about. Anyway, it's a fantasy. I'm bad at. I'm sorry, I don't have a good pitch for it, but it has a fantastic Tommy Arnold cover with this huge dragon clutching this glowing thing, and it's actually not a scene. It's actually a thematic cover. The cover is nothing that happened. The cover doesn't represent something that happens in the book, but it's exactly perfect for representing the thematic content of the book. So it's about a young woman and it's set in a magic world. I actually really like it. And then I have another novella called The Keeper 6, which is a portal fantasy that begins in this world, which has a grandmother who's 60, whose adult son gets kidnapped by a basically multi-dimensional dragon boss, and so she has to go rescue him and she has to call her crew back together.
Oh my God.
And so it's kind of it's not quite a
Allie, this is written for us, isn't it?
I have written it down. It's in my phone. It will be.
The Keeper 6.
I'm ready.
Yeah, it has a great cover by a different artist. So that one was Tommy Arnold. This is Emmanuel Shu, Shiu. It's got a fantastic cover that is perfect. And then the other thing that's out now are the first 2 volumes of the Unconquerable Sun series, which is gender swapped Alexander the Great as space opera, which
hell
is
yeah,
big, hugely epic, cast of thousands. Really has been both really fun and incredibly challenging to write. It's very fast paced and it's a lot because it's big.
And we got Wheel of Time fans in here. You guys are ready. You've been training for this. Go.
Actually, if you've been training for that, you can, Wheel of Time people, this is nothing. Compared to the scope. And then I have the thing I can't talk about, which is kind of a romantasy, but it's a duology coming out next year. But I can't talk about it because it hasn't been announced.
I think I know about this one.
You do know about it, and it is
I'm
finished.
excited.
I'm just waiting to revise it. I'm waiting for my editorial notes forever. And then I'm working on the 3rd Sun book right now.
Wow.
Which will finish the trilogy. And then I have 5 million other ideas that I'm poking at. Like I do. Oh, wait, there's one more thing. So if anyone here has read the Cold Magic books, I am with a small press finally bringing out a collection of all the short stories in that universe and some essays, and those short stories include the Julie Dillon illustrated Secret Journal of Beatrice Hassi Barahal, which is 28 black and white illustrations. And then because of
gosh.
I also commissioned out of my own pocket, so it's like draining my savings account, one black and white illustration for each of the stories from a different artist.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so I see if I can even get this lineup. Lee Moyer, Jody Lee has promised one, and Jody Lee is going to do an illustration for the Smut chapter, which will be a separate chapbook. And she said to me, no one's ever asked me to draw erotica before.
Oh my God, if Jody Lee is going to get into sexy, listen, I would like you to tell Jody Lee this. I could never talk to Jody Lee. I would die. I'm going to think Jody Lee made me bisexual. Okay. Like her covers.
I love her covers.
Her covers are the other look of my childhood, like just my teens. I love them so much.
Yes, I love her. And she and I actually knew each other before we became professionals, by the way. So I've known her forever. Who else is on it? Oh, there's a maybe who I can't say. Kikai Kotaki. Oh my God. Wendy Shu. Jessa Salume, who works at Among Others, the company who does Among Others. Cynthia Shotaki. I'm missing people. Charles Tan. I have a whole list. There's more. It's got, anyway, I have some of them in and they're already fantastic. And
that is so amazing.
I am apparently getting a Tom Canty cover.
Your art is going to be, this is going to be the most beautiful book ever.
The stories are all written and everything, but I'm so excited about the art. It's with Fairwood Press. It's coming out. We just got moved from August to October because of printing issues. And there's going to be an ebook, a trade paper, and a deluxe hardcover edition with a very tiny print run, which will have 2 color prints by Julie Dillon, I hope. Will be bound and will include the Smut Chat book.
Amazing.
Which isn't actually in the, anyway, so I'm super excited about that. And I'm really anxious about it because I'm not a self-publisher normally, so I just worry that no one will buy it. So that's my next thing coming out will be that collection. It's called The History of the World Begins in Ice. Stories and essays from the Cold Magic universe.
Very cool.
Honestly, for people who like the alt history sort of Game of Thrones, like Song of Ice and Fire, honestly, you guys go pick this series up. Like and the audiobooks are good. Like I'm pretty sure I listened on audio. I'm like 90% sure.
Yeah, the audiobooks are good. I don't adore, she's a good voice actor. I don't quite adore the way she did Kat, because it's first person and Kat to me has it was hard for me because I have such a distinct way of thinking about how Kat would be speaking. And she's a little too perky for my taste, but I don't think it would bother other listeners.
I remember loving them. So yeah, like it was one of my series that I've got.
Yeah, but I think she's very good. She's very good and she's very clear. Everything is, and she's good. Yeah. Anyway, so that's my next publication and I'm very excited about that, especially as the illustrations are coming in now. So I get to see them.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a little daunting. And for people who haven't read Cold Magic, you could pick up the collection because all the stories are written to have a beginning, a middle, and end. Some of them are separate enough from the main trilogy that you could read it without knowing anything about the world. And then even the ones that will have more resonance if you've read the books still work as stories. It's just still have more resonance if you've read the book.
Well,
there's a really funny Rory story in it that is funnier if you know more about him. But anyway, things like that. Yeah. Anyway, so I just want it to sell enough. Anyway, I'm very nervous about that aspect of it.
So everyone who's listening to the podcast, there will be links in the description. You go and do all the follows and all the everythings to make this work.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not up for pre-order yet, so but it will be someday.
Well, when it is, let us know. We'd be happy to shout it out on the pod.
Yes.
I will. Hey, you know what? I can probably get you guys review copies.
Are you serious?
Hold on. I got to find my page. Well, I'm going to write it on a separate piece of paper.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, so links to everything else will be in the description, and then you all just have to wait for the retweets from us on this latest thing, I guess.
Okay, I will. I'll put that in I have a page where I'm putting all the stuff because I don't usually do this. This is one reason I published traditionally because I'm not good at all this other stuff.
Well, you can slide into those DMs that are the only reason we still have Twitter.
Twitter. And thank you for offering. So I will put you on the list. I know the publisher is going to ask me who I want review copies sent to. So
you are amazing, Kate. Thank you so much. Seriously.
Okay.
Thank you.
And before we go, would you like
before
to
we
shout
go,
out?
I want to say something about the Wheel of Time show.
Yeah.
Okay,
I can't remember anybody's names. First of all, I thank you so much for being so clear to me that you thought I would like it because
Yes,
I love it. And absolutely, my favorite character is what's her name with the 2 boyfriends.
Alana.
Alana.
And the 2 boyfriends. What are their names?
Ivan and Maxim.
Thank you. Oh my
She's
God.
great.
She is amazing in the show. Like the actress who's playing her,
Her presence on social media is amazing.
Yes.
I didn't know she was on social media.
Oh yeah, she's constantly posting pictures, and she's just Alana.
Oh yeah, you have to find her on Instagram.
She just is Alana, as far as I can tell. It's great.
Yes,
she's so cool.
But I love everybody. Everybody's great.
Yeah, there's not a weak link on that show. It's like it's unbelievable.
Who's the blonde bad one?
Leandrin.
Kate Fleetwood. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the first season, I was like, okay, she's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
She's fantastic in season 2.
Yeah.
Have you seen her
Fantastic.
in? There's a movie adaptation of Macbeth, and she plays Lady M with Patrick Stewart. It's so stupid good. That's what I knew her from originally. And so when people are like, oh, Kate Fleetwood, I was like, just wait. Just wait.
Wow. That blows my mind.
It's really good. It's really, really good. You should definitely check that out. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'd never seen her before in anything, but the way that the show writers and Kate together turned a 2-dimensional mustache twirling villain into a compelling, fleshed out character that I can't help but root for is just mwah.
Yeah.
She's a powerhouse. I love her as an actress. Yeah, and her Lady M is something else. It's something to see. And her just jawline is unreal.
Yeah.
Her jawline is unreal.
Yes, amazing. Like, and this is the thing, like, you could just keep going because there are so many roles for these, like, women who are, like, over 30 and, you know, just killing it. Just awesome.
Sophie Okonodo.
And it just, there's...
Yeah. Rosamund Pike. I mean, it's just a cornucopia of incredible actresses in
amazing.
their, 40s, 50s, 60s. I mean, they're so good.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's a crime, really, that Hollywood... Like after you turn 35, all of a sudden they're like, who? Because I'm like, you're getting even better. Like you never peak when you're 35 in terms of your ability as an artist. Yeah. I mean, my God, they're so unbelievable.
It's like when I watch it, I feel like I'm at a feast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And then all the actors are good, but it's just this feast of women. And they're older women and they're all so good and their arm is just, I have never seen a show with so many older women on it ever. Ever.
And they're all like, they've all got, to use a term you hate, agency. They're all doing things. They're all different. Like they all have different personalities, different things that they're doing. They
different
all
kinds of clothes.
They all may or may not be evil.
Or just complicated.
Yeah. Yes. Well, and that's the thing that I love too, is they're really going into, I mean, isn't it all very complicated when we're at the end of the world? What is good and what is bad? Who's a monster and who isn't, And when you're wrong about that, the consequences can be dire.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. I love it. I love it. And I love that you love it.
Yes, I was so excited.
I'm all here for fantasy and science fiction TV, but it isn't always what I want. And this is.
This is also like one of the reasons where, like, like some of the guy fans will like get on after an episode and they're like, well, I want to nitpick this lore change and this lore change. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. I just watched like 7 women over 40 do political scheming. Mm-hmm. You go watch a different fantasy show. This one's mine.
Yeah. This one's for the girls, gays, and theys.
For sure.
Get your own show.
Always plug in the Wheel of Time TV show. The books are a complicated mess that we love to, dive deep on, but the TV show just gives me a lot of joy.
Can I also just say, as a random aside, because obviously like the disability community is very near and dear to my heart, that they had 2 women who were dwarves on this season without like that being their plot line.
Yeah.
They just were.
Just little people
there,
just exist.
Hanging out.
Yeah.
I just was so excited by that. I was like, first of all, usually you'd be the only one. And it's like, that's your whole reason for existing. And they just are there, hanging out, having a good time, doing their scheming. And I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Good job.
Makes me happy. Okay.
Before we go out, Kate, would you like to shout out any other women who were awesome that you think that maybe have not gotten enough attention or who might have faded from memory in a way that is not cool?
Oh, I wish you'd given me warning of this. But I'm just gonna take the easy way out because it takes me too long to think. And I'm just gonna say CJ Cherry, who never, I know she finally got named Grandmaster at SIFA, but I don't feel like she's ever gotten the credit for being incredibly groundbreaking writer who did stuff nobody else was doing, who opened a path for just she was doing a wide variety of women who were just people in her weird universes, that her weird approach, just amazing stuff. She's a huge influence on me. I haven't read actually anything by her in probably 20 years for whatever reason. I don't know why, but I read so many of her books before I was published. And her stuff can be difficult. Her writing is very convoluted and dense, but it repays to my mind. It repays reading if you can find the one that speaks to you, because she's written so many different things. Down Below Station is the one she's best known for. It might not necessarily be the best one to start with. Maybe her current Foreigner series. There was the Morgaine series is really, which I don't remember the name of the first one. And then there's there's books related to Down Below Station, and I'm completely blanking on the name, but I'll get it to you so you can put it in your show notes, which is, I think, an easier one to start with. But it's set at the same time as Down Below Station, which is kind of this epic, and the thing I want to say about Down Below Station is it opens in a space station where refugees are flooding in from a war. And the point of view character is a young man who's, whatever. But anyway, the main force of all this is this fleet admiral or captain named Signe Mallory. And I swear, there had never been anyone like this woman written before in SF, because she is a powerful, very unpleasant woman who you totally believe as a character. And I just had never read anyone like her before. And to me, she was like a trope exploding character at a time when I needed to read that as a young reader who myself was starting my journey of what I wanted to do. So I'm a big fan of hers, even though I know she can be hard to read because of the density of her prose. But she should be shouted to the rooftops.
That's a great recommendation.
I will have her information and every other author that we mentioned throughout this entire episode will be listed in the show notes. So don't worry, everyone who has no short-term memory. The show notes got you. All the names are there.
The neurodivergence among us. Thank you.
We are an accessible podcast, damn it.
And I will say, she has a lot of neurodivergent characters, which wouldn't have been identified that way then, but it's obvious.
Yeah.
We've always been there.
Always.
That's what they are.
And we're often the ones making the art.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I feel like part of the reason why I thought I was normal or thought that I could be normal was because all the art I was consuming was by not normal people. And they were all doing the same thing. And but just a little off, just a little bit different, and just this one little thing. And it's like, oh, neurotypical people don't write compelling novels that I get sucked into. Got it. Okay.
I mean, listen, not to speak too broadly, but I do think there has to be something wrong with you to want to be an artist. Just like a little.
I can't argue with it.
You know what I mean? Just a little. Just like a little bit.
The lack of object permanence in ADHD really does help you survive publishing. You forget how bad the publishing part is, and then you just keep going back to the writing part. So
yeah, exactly. Like terrible things will happen that will, be horrible, and then 3 months later, you're like, "But I have this. Oh, here, let me go. I got this new idea." Right?
Yep.
And it's like it happened then, but now
it's now. Exactly.
Now.
It'll be different next time somehow.
What is insanity?
Yeah.
Somehow.
We wouldn't know.
ADHD writing.
All right. I do actually really have to work. I have to finish this third book of this trilogy. But thank you. That's fantastic.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. If you want to keep gabbing with us, our social media and contact details, and also all the details for the episode are in the episode description. Until next time, have a very nuanced day.
And there you have it, the second half of my other podcast, the Hot Nuance Book Club, interviewing author Kate Elliott about books, publishing, conventions, fellow authors, messages of hope, and other shenanigans going back to the 1980s. You may have noticed that Allie and I were a bit more vocal than last week. I hope you enjoyed our contributions. I asked at the top of the episode, how can we connect the intergenerational process of imagination and creation in writing to sewing? How did two women born in the U.S. in the mid-century experience their place in that great chain of lore? Did you have any thoughts on that? We would love to hear them. I thought about how so many traditions of skill and culture holding are done by women specifically, and about how the matrilineal heritage of these skills must go back a truly fantastic time into our foggy history. Back to the beginning, undoubtedly. As I said last week, this episode was originally published on February 19th, 2024, just over a year ago. Truly, so much has changed in that time, and so much more will change in the next year. The only constant is change. Creativity helps us maintain our sanity and focus and all that change. You have to yes and the things that change in your life, and in doing so hopefully maintain some kind of internally consistent balance. We hope you will stay with us in our creative pursuit of understanding the world through the lens of sewing machine history. Next week, we are back with TR, talking about language, but not in a literary context. Trade languages. Stay tuned, stay threaded, and remember, we are unofficially sponsored by Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine, who do repairs and restorations. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can support us by sharing the podcast with your friends, and you can donate money to us at patreon.com/used2sew. Thank you for listening to us here at Used to Sew. We always welcome your additions, corrections, and feedback in general. Please reach out to us via email at usedtosew@gmail.com. Used to Sew is a production of Fox and Raven Media. For more podcasts from Fox and Raven Media, visit our website at foxandravenmedia.com.